If you'd like to take better photographs with your iPhone, then certainly stick around and I'll show you some tips and tricks to help you on your way. For the purposes of what I'm going to show you today, I'll be using my iPhone. Yep, this little baby just here is what we're going to be using today to take some really good shots. Well, hoping they're going to be really good shots. First thing we're going to cover today is the rule of thirds. Now, the rule of thirds is an old rule of thumb, which basically means drawing an old game of tic-tac-toe across your screen. So you have a 3x3 grid. Now, in that 3x3 grid, every time one of those lines meets, an intersecting line, that is where an object can be best placed. The grid lines are also good for keeping those horizons in check, so you don't have them going all over the place. So use those grids when you can. Remember that this is a rule and it's not set in stone, and rules can be broken depending on what look you're going for in your photographs. So right now we're going to have a look around the gardens and see what we can pick and kind of use the rule of thirds, and I'll show you one without and one with, and you can see the balance there. For this first example, I'm going to be using this statue over here. I'm going to take a photograph straight on and then I'm going to try and apply the rule of thirds. Straight on. Now you notice for these photos that I've actually stood and I've pointed and shot straight from eye level, so I'm going to do rule of thirds again, and this time I'm going to look for an unusual angle as well, so I'm adding in another element here. Time to search for some more. So here's another example of using a different angle to get a better shot. So I've just come across these beautiful flowers just here, and normally you probably just set your phone up and point and shoot. That's what I see lots of people doing as they're moving through the gardens even today. So a better idea is to get down really, really close to the subject, take it from a different angle, even focus in on one of those, which is what I'm going to do now. I'm going to change it up a little bit and I'll show you how to use an unusual angle to get a better shot of the flowers here. Now you can probably tell it's not the best time to be taking photos. It's right in the middle of the day. I had to get out of the house when I could because it's predicted snow later, would you believe? And it's a little bit chilly. So I'm just taking advantage of doing this while I can. So you'll notice that the clouds are coming and going. It's doing all sorts of things with light balance, but we'll get to that another time. So I've just come to the little bridge in the gardens. And the seagulls come to join us, which is nice. Hello, seagull. And again, the happy snapshot would be to point and shoot, which I'll do now. Seagull and all. And the next shoot will be a little different. I'm going to get down low, again using angles to get a better composition of the shot. He just wants to be on the channel. Just as an interesting point of fact, it's a Huon pine, one of the oldest living trees on this planet. Looking at unusual angles, it's also a good idea to look up once in a while, which is what I'm doing right now. I found myself a beautiful tree with the yellow leaves, and I'm about to have a little go taking a picture of this one. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'll show you guys later when I get home and I actually put this together. Whilst you can look up and take photos of trees full of leaves, you can also look for those that still haven't quite budded yet, like the one that's behind me. I'm going to get all up under this tree, take a few photos. With that one, what I was trying to avoid was to have other trees encroaching onto the space of the sky. So I had to kind of manoeuvre around a little bit because I just wanted the dark shadows of the twigs and the cloudy sky above. I think I managed it. Looking for interesting pathways is another way to use leading lines in your photographs. So I found one heading up into the shadows just behind me. I'm hoping to get down low and see if I can get an interesting angle along those steps for this shot as well. But first we have to start with the Happy Snappy. And now I'm off to try and do something a little bit more creative than that. I was actually watching a video the other day which talked about repeated patterns, things like staircases or rafters in a building, and it had something to do about the angle. It needed to be at least 20%. I think I was too low for that one. I only got the first lot of steps. So it was really about getting back, making sure you got your angles right as well. So I'm hoping that the wall and the lead up to the steps will give enough of a leading line. And just to make it interesting, it's now starting to rain. What I have behind me is a part of the botanical gardens that I'm going to use to break the rules. Now, with the rule of thirds, there are sometimes ways to break the rules. And one of them is if you are looking at getting something bang on and you're looking for symmetry. So right now, I'm going to use this arch, try and get it dead bang on to break that rule. Flowers are a great way for breaking the rule of thirds, especially if you can get right up high and over the top of them and get them to fill the frame right at the centre, because you want that to be the, I guess, what you call it, is you want that to be the focal point of your picture. So come right over the top, get nice close, and get that photo right in the frame. If you have it to the side, it can get quite lost in amongst all the other pictures of the flowers. So if you are going to take pictures of some flowers that you really like, why not get in close on your favourites and really make it pop? Looks like I get to break the rule of thirds again. I'm going to use this arch. It's a little bit busy on the other side though. And now we're here at the Japanese gardens. The Happy Snap looks really good. This is a pretty garden. For that one, what I did is I auto-locked focus and exposure on the camera, and I then set that up into the top left-hand corner so I had more of the water and the reflection in that particular photo. So wherever you tap, you'll get the different focuses and exposures. And when you are happy and you line it up, if you hold and tap, you'll notice that this yellow bar comes along the top, and that is your auto lock and auto focus. Now that will stay the same no matter how many photos you take. The other thing that you can do is if you slide up and down, while that's in lock, you can adjust your exposure accordingly. And then that will stay exactly the same no matter what photo. And the way to get out of it, once you've finished, is just to tap once on the screen, it will go back to its normal mode. This is a really, really handy tip. I'm just going to put the camera over here where it's safe away from the water, because sure as eggs, the elephant on my back will probably knock it in. So if I just pop it over here, so no kids will come crashing past, I just saw another little photo I'd like to pick up. Yeah, so let's go. Another clever way to compose a shot is to have something in the foreground, such as this rock, and just beyond that are some really pretty flowers and a pathway. So I'm going to get down low, use the rock in the foreground, see if I might be able to get some sort of leading line with the path coming out of that. Our first tip was the rule of thirds and making sure that we use those interconnecting lines to balance our photos out. And the second tip was to look for unique angles. So looking for those leading lines, getting down low, maybe even lying on your back. I didn't do that today because it's a bit wet, but you can lie on your back and look up. The other thing that I didn't use today was zooming. I'm not a fan of zoom on iPhone cameras. I find it to be really grainy, and it makes the subject pretty useless when it comes to wanting to print it off at a photo kiosk or trying to enlarge it. So I tend to try and avoid the zoom and get in as close as I can to different subjects. What you do have on an iPhone is this little number 1, it's in a circle down the bottom, and that's a telephoto. So if you tap it, it'll go to 2 and it will zoom in a little bit for you. Now, this is about the only function that the iPhone has to zoom in to a subject without losing any clarity. If you zoom, you're going to end up losing clarity, and not only that, unless you have a tripod, as you're zooming, the more your hand shakes, even though you don't realise it does, the tiniest little bit of shake can shake the photo and ends up blurry anyway. So unless you absolutely have to, or you're intending to use that particular zoom for a purpose, I would definitely stay clear of it. Technology is changing all the time. Obviously, this is an antiquated piece of equipment now, even though I thought it was quite new. So you'll never know what they're going to do in terms of cameras on phones, but I'm sure it's going to get better and better as the years go on. I talked a little bit about using auto exposure when we were in the Japanese gardens, but the last tip or technique that I have for you is to actually get inspired by others. Take a good look at some photography sites, go in, join some Facebook groups, look through magazines, take a look at postcards or travel brochures and see what other photographers are doing. Now, you're not going to be able to copy that, and it would be gets copyright law anyway. What you can do is have a look at some of the techniques they've used, look at what camera settings they may have used, and then go out and experiment with some of the things that are in your local area, and you will definitely improve. So practice and practice and practice, and before too long you'll end up with a few tips and techniques that you use regularly that will really make a big difference to the way you start taking photographs. We're just about to enter what I believe is the arboretum, and there's probably going to be a fair few flowers in here, maybe. No, I'm seeing a lot of flowers in the Botanical Gardens today. The weather's just a little bit off, or maybe I've missed it. No, I found some orchids. Pretty sure I've got some of that growing at home in the pot. Been in the garden, spread out. 3 hours, there's still heaps to see. I haven't visited the bathroom. This isn't helping. Now, the gates to these gardens are equally impressive. Again, they're photographed quite regularly, so I'm going to do the touristy thing. Sorry, I'm puffing, I just had to walk up that huge hill. So I'm going to go with the normal standard touristy shot. Oh, look, I'm at the Botanical Gardens. Oh, yeah. There we go, look at that shot. That's amazing. Oh, can I come here again one day? Or I'm going to get up and kind of go from the side angle, hopefully get something a little bit different. That's different, and you can see the little ornate features in that. Well, that was my last photo of the day. So it's time to sit down, have a bit of a chat, and get out of here. This video has been a little bit out of the norm for us. Usually we're doing travel videos and cruise videos and vlogs and the like. I am trying something a little bit different. So if you have liked this video and you'd like to see more, please give us a thumbs up and let us know in the comment section. Until next time, when I will bring you more tips at this channel, I will see you later.